Mark Twain famously said, "Everyone complains about the weather, but no one does anything about it." Thousands of years ago, people tamed agriculture. Since then, Mother Nature has kind of been public enemy number one. Sure, we can't grow without soil and sun and water, but Mother Nature can wreak havoc on our farms too. Now some farmers have learned to tame Mother Nature. Come on, let me take you where the food comes from. I'm on a farm. Yeah, that's what I said, I'm on a farm. Not only am I on a farm, I'm in a farm in Virginia, home to our founding fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, kind of the birthplace of American agriculture. So I'm on a bicycle riding down a long, narrow hallway, because we're about to take farming indoors. Lead the way. Kind of like we're in a jungle, and I guess in a way we are. It's an indoor jungle. Vine ripe tomatoes? Is this
Cocktail tomatoes.
cocktail tomatoes?
On the vine.
On the vine. So that tomato will stay that size.
That is correct. And by the way, it's getting the right color. Very soon, Jay will be very busy here picking these tomatoes.
These rows go on and on and on. How big is one of these individual enclosures?
Well, we are right now in a greenhouse that has 18 acres.
18 acres.
In total. That is correct. We have two phases. This is phase number 2, which has 6 acres.
6 acres.
And
So
12 in the other side.
12 in the other side. But that, you can tell, looking at the size of these vines, the length of these rows, just how much product is coming out of here. And this particular room that we're in, is it all tomatoes?
It's all tomatoes. We are producing here 3 types of tomatoes. Tomatoes on the vine, the commodity, cocktail tomatoes, the one that we have here, and some cherry tomatoes on the vine.
What always amazes me, I know every time we're out in the dirt on a farm, the challenges, the heat, the rain. I mean, we can look above through the glass roof now and see a dark cloud coming in.
Getting cloudy.
If we were outside on a conventional farm, we'd be wondering, is it time to stop for the day? Do we need to cut a ditch in the field so this rain can run off? You don't have to worry about any of that.
You don't have to worry. You can continue working under those conditions. However, sunny days are much better.
In the farming world, we've been talking about it forever, but outside the farming world, sustainability. A facility like this is infinitely sustainable.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have, as part of our missions, as a company, is to be sustainable as much as we can, and not only with our fruit, but also exploring, the new concepts, for example, in packaging. Okay, waste is another big piece for us that we put a lot of emphasis on. Just to give you an example, to avoid waste in our fruit, since the beginning, since you start seeing the first cluster coming, the grower and his team here, they start pruning, the perfect size of a cluster that we want, eliminating that fruit that will not make it.
So by the time when you get to the end of the process, you don't have that imperfect produce, that thing that's the wrong pack size, the things that are perfectly good food that are unfortunately often discarded.
Absolutely.
If they can't be used for processing in this country, we throw them away because people buy with their eyes, and if it doesn't look right, if it doesn't look like the others, they're gonna pass it by. And your customers your business customers aren't going to accept that.
They look for perfection, and we have to work since the beginning. We have a KPI to control our rejection, key production indicator. It's a measurable that we use to understand how much product we are, let's say, throwing away.
Right.
Okay. I can tell you that because of all these techniques and growing methods that we use, it's less than 1%.
Oh my word, I think a lot of our dirt farmers just probably had might need to see a doctor at this point, from 42% to 1%.
Yeah, less than 1%.
This is an ancient technology brought into the modern era with modern technology. There have to be drawbacks. There's no such thing as a perfect bargain. Is it the expense, the maintenance, the need for more skilled personnel? Where's the trade-off? Why can't everybody and everything grow like this?
Well, I mean, it's as you can imagine, it's a very, very, high investment.
$45, $50 at least for the glass to go in this place.
Well, yeah, I mean, these days with all the increases in cost, the cost to build a greenhouse like this increase almost 25 to 40%, okay? It's a lot of money what you have to invest on this, but I always like to give an example. In a square meter, okay, of an open field, for example, in a good season, growing tomatoes, if you have a good year, you can get around 8 to 10 pounds of tomatoes, okay? In a greenhouse like this, a high-tech greenhouse, you can produce around 172 pounds of tomatoes.
My goodness. Everything I'm seeing here is so familiar to the things that I see out in the dirt, but I hear a lot of noises that I don't hear on farms. I'm not hearing any farm noises, so I think I'm gonna close this out by just adding one so I'll feel a little more at home. Moo. Did you hear them? Did you hear them? That's cows. That's the cows. It's extraordinary to me, Carlos, the consistency of all of these clusters. And they might not all have the exact same number of fruit, but they're all
very close.
So uniform. Jay, I know a lot of home gardeners who are feeling pretty jealous about right now. It's so hard to grow that perfect tomato out back, and we've all tried it. Put it in a pot, put it in the ground, do whatever. You get 3 or 4 tomatoes off of it, a half a dozen in a season, man, you're thrilled, you're so happy. And yet we're sitting here looking at countless acres, well, you can count them, but I can't count them, of beautiful, all virtually perfect tomatoes. What is your role in all of this, Jay? What do you do around here?
Well, Chip, first of all, welcome to Red Sun Farms. It's great to have you and your team here.
Lovely to be here.
Really what I do is I'm Director of Operations, really a resource connector for my grow staff. It's about keeping our team with what they need to grow these beautiful tomatoes at a very high level, a very high efficiency, and to try to beat our goals every year.
So to put it in conventional farming terms, other people are the agronomists and the actual farmers. You're the farm manager? Is that
That's right.
fair
That's
way
a fair way to put
that?
it. It's more like a farm manager. We have a grow staff that includes a grower, an assistant grower. We have supervisors in the greenhouse. We have a maintenance supervisor, a harvest supervisor. So those are the people who are hands on the product every day. And then also a pack house team.
And that flow chart is exactly like a traditional farm.
It is very much
that
like
is
a
set
farm.
up the exact same thing.
Yep.
What is not the same is anything else. When I'm sitting here looking at tomato vines that are twice as tall as I am and understand that they're going to reach 40 feet to the ceiling before this growth cycle is done, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. Carlos explained to us there's no dirt in this facility, but these plants are growing in a medium.
This here is what we call the grow bag. The grow bag that we use is filled with shredded coconut husks.
Coconut?
Yeah, it's a byproduct of the coconut industry. So where those coconuts are grown, in this particular case, they're grown in Sri Lanka. Mm-hmm. The byproduct of the coconut industry is this material called core, or coconut fiber. Once we use it, it can be used as a dressing on a garden. It can be used as, to reinforce soil.
So this, again, part of the beauty, the stewardship of agriculture. Whether you're farming in dirt, farming on a rooftop in Manhattan, or farming in a facility like this, stewardship is still the hallmark of farming. Red Sun controls the whole process, as they say, from seed to stem, and in this case, seed to it's on the truck on the way to the delivery center. It's controlling the climate, not creating the climate, and you control it within the parameters that you need to make this crop come off.
Right.
Even in a controlled environment where you're doing everything you can to minimize the negative impacts that Mother Nature can have and work with the beneficial impacts of Mother Nature, even indoors, you're still answering to Mother Nature.
It's probably going to rain, today. And we welcome the rain. We like the light, we like the sunlight, but we welcome the rain because it's going to fall on our roof, and we're going to harvest that rain from our roof.
Wow.
And it will drain to a pond that we have, and then we will pump water back from that pond as irrigation water. And about between 75 and 85% of the water that we use, depending on the rainfall during the year, will be rainwater.
That's pure farming, Jay.
Yep.
That's nothing but farming. This whole concept started with about 7.5 acres of land.
Since that time, we continue growing and growing. And there was a vision of the group to one of these days to fully integrate, that company, not just dedicate the company to the growing piece of it, okay? But also be able to grow it and acquire, the distribution and marketing and sales of the product. That took place in, I would say, in 2012, when that project that started as a growing operation acquired, together with some partners in Canada, the sales and marketing piece. And since then, we have been working together as a whole family, where we fully control every step of the process.
Every step of the process. And when you say every step, that actually includes seed propagation and literally controlling that crop from the development of the seed through the package it goes in to the trucks it leaves the facility in. The propagation process where that starts, are Red Sun varieties proprietary?
We do have exclusivities of some of those seeds, okay? But let me explain you that process because it's quite interesting.
Right.
We're very proud to be the largest fully vertical integrated high technology greenhouse in North America, okay? So there is no such a project with that dimension, fully vertical integrated, okay? When you own your own space, okay, all the way from seed selection, propagation, the production of the product under high-tech greenhouses, then the sales and marketing and distribution, and then delivery to our customers. So those are the steps that that describes our entire process. And in a way, that becomes our value proposition, because that is exactly what makes us unique, that set us apart from some of our competitors.
Sure.
When you have the full control of each of those steps, makes a big difference.
Everybody has their favorite labels, everybody has their favorite farms, usually because of a story that's involved. What is that farmer's story? Why should I buy that apple instead of another apple?
Absolutely.
Do you find the Red Sun customer base expressive? Do they tell you, we love this? Or do you get feedback? Do you have interaction?
We have two types of customers. We have our B2B customers.
That's when you're selling
And then
to grocery
we
stores.
have the B2C customer,
and that's
the end customer.
the folks at home.
Exactly. And we have a marketing strategic, to focus on both. Our business-to-business customers, the month, they want transparency. They want to know where the product comes from. And the only way to have or to offer that transparency, okay, in a way it's by doing things the way we do it, okay? A greenhouse is a place where you optimize the growing techniques, okay? There is some confusion up there sometimes where you use the term high technology greenhouse. People start thinking, what are you putting into my tomatoes? No, nothing. It's the most natural product that you can imagine under the best growing techniques, okay? So the way how we produce it, okay, considered all these food safety techniques, in a more strict way than you can have in an open field, for example, okay? So once you start connecting with your business-to-business customer and they start understanding what is really behind these, let's say, techniques, is when they start appreciating. At the same time, through our webpage and social media, we have to teach and communicate the same message to our B2C or end customers.
To the folks at home, yeah.
How do you communicate that? Sure. With videos, with interviews like these, with recipes sometimes.
And when you're farming like this and when you're doing business like this, jobs, job creation, job destruction, these are big topics now. Everybody has a concern. If a company like Red Sun comes into an area like Dublin and builds a facility like this, are you putting farmers out of business or are you putting people to work?
We're putting people to work, okay? And it's not a secret that labor is always a challenge.
Especially in agriculture, in outdoor agriculture.
Especially in agriculture.
It's impossible to get people to answer.
And not just in this area, in everywhere you go.
Right.
Okay, it's hard. But we're very proud to generate jobs here in the US, especially here in Virginia. We also have operations in Texas, so part of our, let's say, mission as a company is to generate jobs for families here in the US.
All of that, to me, Carlos, even if you're on the research and development team that did this packaging, you're still farming.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, they always say the proof's in the pudding, and these pretty packages don't matter very much compared to what's inside them. Well, oh my gosh. We got a little, that's a juicy tomato, man. Usually when I come to the end of a day filming on a farm, I'm exhausted. I'm covered in mud and sweating and caked in all kinds of filth. I've usually walked about 500 miles. It's the end of the day here at Red Sun Farms, and I'm still daisy fresh. There's more food coming out of this one facility than could come out of a dozen conventional farms, but we have just gone room to room. The product that's on this truck, these are the tomatoes. you have seen on the vine this morning, in the packing house at midday. Now it's time to go home. These tomatoes are on their way to you. Out here, where the food comes from.